I want you to notice in that verse, the disciple says, wait a minute, you're going to go help your friend Lazarus. I respect that, okay? That's cool that you're going to go help your friend Lazarus, but you don't remember just a couple weeks ago, they tried to kill you there. So it might not be very smart for you to go there right now. Let's maybe wait a little while for it to calm down. But Jesus said, I'm going to go. And what that tells me is that there's nothing about your circumstance that Jesus is afraid of. There's nothing that you can face today, tomorrow, or for the rest of your life that Jesus is not afraid to go into your situation. There's no place too messy. There's no place too dark. There's nothing that you could ever do that would ever separate you from God's love. There's no place you would ever go that Jesus would not run with reckless abandon into your situation to pull you out and to rescue you. So tonight you might think that you might have gone too far, but I came to tell you tonight that there is no place too far. There is no place too dark, and there is no situation too messy for Jesus to come in and rescue you and pull you out. There are always going to be those people who even though stuff's moving, stuff's shaking, things are happening, lives are being changed, sick are being healed, there are always people who are going to speak negative in your situation, even when Jesus was about to raise somebody from the dead. If you look in John chapter 11, verse 37, it says, but some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind have kept this man from dying? Jesus opened blinded eyes, and he couldn't keep this man from dying. Jesus had just told his disciples that the guy wasn't dead. He was only asleep, and I'm going to wake him up. But still people are saying, this guy's dead, and you could have stopped it, and you didn't do anything about it because you can't. Even up to the moment whenever the promise was about to be fulfilled, he was standing on the edge. He was standing right there at the mouth of the tomb. People were still, this can't happen. This can't happen. What if I were to tell you that the resurrection in that situation in Lazarus' life wasn't even the biggest miracle that happened that day? What if I were to tell you that the resurrection, whenever Lazarus was dead, he was laying there for 4 days, his flesh was rotting, and Jesus said, wake up, and he got up, his skin was healed, he walked out of the tomb alive, breathing. What if I were to tell you, Josh, that wasn't the most powerful thing that happened that day? Well, what if I were to tell you that wasn't even the biggest miracle that happened in Lazarus' life? Get ready, because God's about to do something. It says in verse 43, it says, now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. But Jesus said, loose him and let him go. All right, you might have been in a situation that seemed like death. And I'm here to tell you tonight that God's awakening a generation. A generation has been awakened tonight. It was just us here, that's cool. That's enough. A generation was awakened tonight. All right, but whenever you walk out of that tomb and you're still surrounded and you're wrapped up in this grave clothes, these things that the world tells you you're surrounded with, death or whatever. Jesus said after the man was, what kind of life would Lazarus have lived if he would have hobbled out of that cave and been wrapped up in grave clothes his entire life? Is anybody hearing me tonight? Is anybody hearing anything I'm saying? Lazarus, when he got out of the tomb, Jesus said, take off those grave clothes, loose him, and let him go. Because I believe that after a resurrection, I believe that after he was woken up, God said, I want freedom. I want him to have freedom to do the things that I've put in his heart. I want him to have freedom to do the destiny and the purpose for his life, because he can't do anything if he's wrapped up in grave clothes, but he can do a whole lot if he's been dead and raised from the dead and he's free.